Horror movies are designed to scare you and haunt you long after the credits have rolled. They are designed to linger with you and to make you think about what unfolded right before you fall asleep. However, there are some movies that attempt to push the boundaries of what's tolerable and completely sicken viewers in the process. These are the top 5 horror movies audiences couldn't sit through, part 2. Let's jump in.
Oh my gosh, I almost died. I thought you were a cactus, my friend. I thought you were a cactus. We've got iron, baby! Yes! Okay, my main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody. Bro, no, I'm gonna fight you with a pork chop. No, come here. This is awesome.
Coming in at number 5, we have Irreversible. Now, I've honestly refrained from talking about this movie on this channel because it truly upset me and affected me in the worst way possible, which I think was its desired intention. But I really disliked it because of one scene in particular, and we all know what I'm talking about. Directed by Gaspar Noé and starring Monica Bellucci, Vincent Cassel, and Albert Dupontel, Irreversible takes place in reverse chronology, meaning that the first scene is technically the last scene in the story. It follows 2 men through the streets of Paris who seek revenge on the people who were involved in the attack on a girlfriend. Now, the movie was met with a lot of backlash upon its release, considering that it opens with a man getting viciously beaten with a fire extinguisher. Not to mention, many people passed out at the movie's premiere at the Cannes Film Festival due to a sound that plays at a low frequency at the beginning of the film. You can't actually hear it, but your body registers it, making you feel anxious and nauseous. But the scene that turned many away from the movie theatre was of course the 10-minute static shot of Monica Bellucci's character getting viciously attacked. It's absolutely disgusting and incredibly upsetting to watch, and because of the scene, I will never watch this movie again. And I can tell you right now, I'm not being over dramatic. It is absolutely horrible. Before we jump into number 4, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. In at number 4, we have Mother. Now, I'm breaking up this list with Mother, a film that wasn't completely disturbing but was so on the nose and so unnecessary that many walked out just because it was so ridiculous. Released in 2017 and directed by Darren Aronofsky, Mother stars Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, Ed Harris, and Michelle Pfeiffer, with the movie following a young couple whose life is disturbed when a mysterious couple arrives at their country home. Now, the main characters don't have names, they are simply Mother and Him. Him is a poet with an intense following, and Mother seeks to take care of her home, that she is forced to rebuild when the visitors to the home become violent. Now, it is pretty clear early on in the movie that Mother is one giant metaphor for Earth and God. Mother is of course Mother Earth, and the home is supposed to be the planet Earth, and Him is of course God with his loyal followers. It depicts the arrival of humans and their disregard for the planet and seek to destroy instead of nurture. Now, while some people praised the movie as art, others were angered by some of the more disturbing moments, including the violence, cannibalism, and of course the iconic scene with the child of Mother. It is quite tough to get through simply because the movie is so damn chaotic and frustrating. You yourself want everyone to leave and grow frustrated when things go from bad to worse. The entire cast does a phenomenal job, but sadly the film was a train wreck, and honestly, has Jennifer Lawrence's career recovered from this? I don't think so. Where the hell is she? What movies is she doing? In at number 3, we have The Human Centipede 2. Honestly, I never thought I'd write a list where The Human Centipede 2 is one of the easiest movies to talk about, because the 2 movies coming up are a lot of a lot. And I feel somewhat nauseous about what I've read today, honestly. Released in 2011 and directed by Tom Six, The Human Centipede 2 is a sequel to the 2009 movie The Human Centipede: The First Sequence. Yep, there are more than one sequence. There are actually 3 sequences. And oh boy, did the sequel make the first seem like a walk in the park. The sequel stars Lawrence R. Harvey as an intellectually impaired Englishman who is obsessed with the first Human Centipede movie. So he decides to make his own Human Centipede, because that's what you do when you're obsessed with things. However, this time it consists of 12 people, including the actress from the first Human Centipede movie, who he is also obsessed with. It's all very meta. Now, Tom Six set out to make something far worse for audiences than what he put out in the first movie, and he certainly succeeded, with the character in the sequel having no medical training whatsoever, unlike the Doctor in the first. Things, of course, then quickly turn into a gore-filled bloodbath for everyone involved. Few can sit through the entirety of this movie, and I can safely say that I didn't watch the entire thing. I walked out, specifically at the scene with the woman giving birth. If you've watched the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, all I have to say is barbed wire, and everyone also knows what I'm talking about. It's disgusting. There are so many horrific moments in this movie, and I desperately want to forget it. In at number 2, we have Caligula. Now, to preface, a film about Caligula is absurd to me. Why it happened, Why it was even made is beyond me. It was perhaps one of the most unnecessary movies in history. Quote me on that. Released in 1979 and directed by Tinto Brass, Giancarlo Louis, and Bob Giacone, this is the only movie in history to be produced by the men's magazine Penthouse, with it originally intended to be an adult feature film, with them even casting Penthouse pets as extras in the feature film. Yeah, starting big with this one. Starring the likes of Malcolm McDowell, Helen Mirren, and Peter O'Toole, Caligula follows the rise and fall of Roman Emperor Caligula, an awful ruler who started many famines on purpose, and engaged in lewd acts on a regular basis. On top of that, he would feed criminals to wild animals and have rivals humiliated or killed depending on his mood. So saying that, you can only imagine what type of film this turned out to be, right? Not only is the movie depraved, but it is also overly long with a runtime of around 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours of pure brutality and disturbing acts that you are made to witness. Not even acclaimed film critic Roger Ebert could sit through it, with him giving the movie 0 stars and stating, I quote, "Sickening, utterly worthless, shameful trash. In the 2 hours of this film that I saw, there was no scenes of joy, natural pleasure, or good sensual cheer. There was instead a nauseating excursion into base and fantasies." Caligula is notable for being one of the few films that Ebert ever walked out of, which says a lot. I don't know what else he walked out of. I should look into that. And finally, in at number 1, we have Bite. Now, this movie is not only hard to sit through, but it's hard to even write about without feeling somewhat nauseous. However, I'm gonna do my very best. Released in 2015 and directed by Chad Archibald, Bite is a Canadian body horror that initially premiered at Fantasia Film Festival. The movie tells the story of a young woman, Casey, who is bitten by an insect in Costa Rica while celebrating her bachelorette party with some friends. She then begins to suffer some absolutely horrifying and disgusting consequences. When she returns home, she begins to morph into an insect herself. She can no longer feed herself and is plagued by nightmares. She also finds insect eggs all over her home, which is my worst nightmare, I don't even want to think about it. She then begins to unintentionally kill people in her life by spitting acid on them. Yep, nightmare. This film is honestly crazy and somewhat all over the place. There's a subplot between Casey and one of her friends, Jill, where it is revealed that Jill is in love with Casey's fiance, and while in Costa Rica, Jill filmed Casey having sex with another man after she drugged her. This results in a deadly confrontation between Casey and Jill. The movie is absolutely insane, and you can tell it is supposed to be somewhat of an homage to The Fly, which is kind of insulting to The Fly. And it definitely fails in that department. Now, producers of the film predicted some of the responses audience members might have to this film. So in preparation, they passed out bath bags to attendees at the festival. What a great thing to be greeted to when going to a movie. Can you imagine walking in and someone hands you a bath bag and says, good luck? Now, although viewers were prepared for something gruesome to unfold, that didn't stop some from passing out or exiting the movie altogether. You have been warned with this one. It is a lot to handle and it's not for the faint-hearted. I actually advise you not to watch this movie. I don't even think it's good. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Have you ever walked out of a movie? I've walked out of one movie. It was called Right at Your Door. It was a pandemic movie, long before this pandemic ever happened. If so, which movie have you walked out of? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 3. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from part 1 of this list. Brother Bear said, Lucy, you not giving a f is the best aesthetic for horror. The less phased you seem, the more phased I am. Thank you. Well, you're very welcome. That's the kind of vibe I try to have in life these days. Just not giving a f. Once you stop giving a f, life is so much better. Jordan Mackenzie Fox said, this truly reveals how everyone has their own weaknesses. I had no issues with Raw, but even the tamest torture scenes make me feel quite sick. I completely agree with you, Jordan. I don't like any torture scenes or torture films or anything to do with women getting brutally attacked or assaulted or tortured or held hostage. Like, anything to do with women is a trigger. Voyage said, I walked out of the new animated Grinch. Honestly, respect. I probably would have done the same thing. Antonio Hernandez said, the Pale Queen keeps me alive. Thank you. You guys keep me alive. I've been in isolation for 2 weeks. I haven't seen another person since December 30th. I was so excited to get back to the studio on Thursday, but now we're in lockdown. I don't need to see anyone. Adrian Reyes said there was someone that threw up at the theatre while watching Hostel. Honestly, that's not a surprise to me, because Hostel's a lot, especially the first one. The the Achilles, the hand, and the eye. The eye's the worst one. When I first saw that, I thought I was gonna throw up. William Sullivan said, Miss McPhee, when are we going to see you debut in your first horror movie and or TV series? Honestly, I've been getting this a lot from you guys recently, and it's very absurd. I don't know where it's come from. A lot of you want me to transition into acting. And the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, maybe I can do that. But I think you guys are making me very delusional. You boost my ego to the point that I'm like, maybe I should do that. Honestly, if you guys just like find me the movie and get me hired and then say, here's the time and place, Lucy, you're gonna be in this movie, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna seek this stuff out on my own. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. And until next time, I'll see you later.